These are the first words of Yōzō Ōba, the fractured soul at the heart of Osamu Dazai's No Longer Human. Not a cry for help, not a confession, a quiet, resigned statement, like a tombstone carved before the body is cold. This is not a story of monsters or villains. It is the story of a man who believed, truly, deeply, that he was never meant to be human, that he was disqualified from the very beginning. And perhaps you felt that too, that strange sensation, standing in a room full of laughter, yet feeling galaxies away, smiling on cue while screaming silently inside, watching others live, love, and belong, while you perform, survive, and disappear. Dazai didn't just write fiction, he wrote autobiographies soaked in ink and blood, and in Oba, he gives us a mirror, or cracked, yes, but terrifyingly reflective. This is not a book discovering. This is an autopsy of the soul. I played the clown because I was terrified. Imagine Kafka, not the writer of nightmares, but the man, laughing with friends at cafes, charming, witty, while in his diaries, he wrote of paralyzing dread, of feeling like an insect beneath the gaze of humanity. Ōba is Kafka's ghost, but louder, more desperate. He doesn't wear a mask to hide a crime. He wears it to hide himself, because to be seen, truly seen, is to be devoured. He calls it the jester's role, a performance born of panic. If he can make them laugh, they won't hurt him. If he amuses them, they won't discover the hollow thing beneath the skin. But here's the horror. The mask doesn't protect him. It imprisons him. Every laugh becomes a verdict, every smile, a sentence. He doesn't live. He performs survival, and in doing so, he surrenders his will to the audience. His value? Determined by their applause. There's a scene, small, devastating. His father asks, "What gift would you like?" Ōba freezes. Not because he doesn't know what he wants, but because he doesn't know what the jester would want. And when his father sighs, mildly disappointed, Ōba spirals. I have angered him. His revenge will be terrible. There is no revenge, only a sigh. But to Ōba, it's confirmation. He is an imposter, a fraud, a thing wearing skin. This is the birth of the modern self under surveillance, not by governments or algorithms, but by the crushing weight of imagined judgment. And here's the twist Dazai forces us to confront. What if Ōba is not an outlier, but an exaggeration of us all? We all wear masks, to work, to family, to lovers. We edit our emotions, sanitize our truths, perform versions of ourselves deemed acceptable. Ōba's tragedy isn't that he wears a mask, it's that he believes the mask is all he is. I painted my nightmares, and called them self-portraits. There is one place Ōba feels human. In front of a canvas, with brush in hand, he dares to show the rot, the fear, the grotesque beauty of his inner world. He paints not to please, but to purge. And he shows these paintings to no one, except one boy, whom he considers too stupid to understand. Even in his one act of honesty, he cannot bear witness. If they see this, they'll either hate me or think it's another joke. And that would be worse. This is the double bind of the alienated soul. To be seen is to be destroyed. To be unseen is to be erased. When he loses even this, when college, society, adulthood strip away his private sanctuary, he turns to drink, to sex, to oblivion, not to feel pleasure, but to stop feeling himself. It terrified me to sit alone in my room. I felt I might be struck at any moment. Struck by whom? By the self he cannot stand. This is the spiral. Repression arrow, self-loathing arrow, escape arrow, deeper repression. A feedback loop of the soul. Modern psychology confirms it. Suppressed self-expression correlates with depression, with anxiety, with existential emptiness. But Ōba doesn't need studies. He lives it. And here's the philosophical wound Dazai opens. Is authenticity even possible? Not in the Instagram quote sense, but in the raw, trembling truth of being, unedited, unmasked, unafraid. Ōba suggests, perhaps not. Society runs on polite lies, on curated selves, on performances that grease the wheels of coexistence. Total honesty? It would shatter everything. But total performance? It shatters you. So where is the line? Where do you draw it? What part of you is locked away, painted but never shown, whispered but never spoken? And what happens when you forget which part is real? I know I am liked, but I cannot love. Dostoevsky wrote, "Hell is the inability to love. Not to be unloved, but to be unable to love. To look at another soul, broken, beautiful, reaching for you, and feel nothing. Or worse, annoyance, burden, fear." Ōba is surrounded by love, a bartender who calls him angel, a brother who funds his exile, a madam who shelters him, women who give him their bodies, their trust, their lives. And what does he do? He uses them, abandons them, watches them drown, and sometimes hands them the stone. When Sono suggests they die together, he agrees. She dies, he lives, and weeps. She was the only one I loved. But love doesn't whisper yes to suicide. Love fights, love stays, love holds. Ōba doesn't love. He consumes, not out of malice, but emptiness. He is a black hole dressed in human skin. The gravity of his despair pulls others in and crushes them. This is the hidden horror of chronic alienation. It doesn't just destroy you. It destroys everyone who dares to get close. And the cruel irony, the people around him, they see him, not the jester, not the fraud, but the wounded boy beneath. The madam says, he was a good boy, an angel. Ōba never hears it, or if he does, he doesn't believe it, because belief requires hope, and Ōba's soul is allergic to hope. No two humans understand each other, not even friends. Ōba's greatest delusion isn't that he's inhuman, it's that he believes his self-perception is truth. But what if he's wrong? What if the monster he sees in the mirror was never there? The epilogue shatters everything. An outsider reads Ōba's notebooks, these confessions of guilt, shame, failure, and seeks out those who knew him. And they say, he was kind, he was gentle, he was an angel. So, who is right? The man who lived it, or the people who lived with him? This is Dazai's masterstroke. The most unreliable narrator is the self at war with itself. Ōba doesn't just wear a mask for others, he wears it for himself. He narrates his life as a tragedy of evil, when it may have been a tragedy of misperception. Was he disqualified from humanity, or did he disqualify himself through relentless, merciless self-condemnation? He says, I could believe in hell, but not in heaven, not in forgiveness. And so he builds his own hell, brick by brick, shame by shame, and locks himself inside. Redemption? Impossible. Not because he's too broken, but because he refuses to believe he's allowed to be fixed. No Longer Human is not a guidebook. It's a warning flare in the night. It shows us what happens when we mistake performance for identity, confuse isolation for safety, replace self-expression with self-erasure, reject love because we believe we are unlovable, narrate our lives as tragedies, and forget we hold the pen. Dazai never recovered. Ōba never escaped. But you're still here. And that means the story isn't over. The mask can be set down. The painting can be shown. The hand can be reached for, even if it trembles. You are not disqualified. You were never meant to be. The tragedy of Ōba is not that he was inhuman. It's that he never let himself be human enough. So ask yourself, gently, bravely, what part of you have you exiled that longs to come home? Thank you for watching. Stay tender, stay questioning, and above all, stay human.